Thank you, 10. There's no sound. Oh, 1 second. Can you tell it's my second live stream? There we go. I think we're on for sound now. Hopefully you are okay for sound. Good, all good. I'll start that again. I'd love for this to be a conversation. I'd love to hear from you, have your thoughts, whether it's because I don't have any sound playing or because you have questions, disagreements, other perspectives, or things you'd like to explore. So feel free to engage in the conversation. Conversations are what make this live stream come to life. Format we're going to do for tonight is I'm going to explore first the topic of the tribe, or the gifts and limitations of the tribe and what to do about it. And then I'm going to get into readings. I have several readings I did ahead of time for this evening. People emailed me their name and their age so I could do the reading. If you would like to have a reading done during the show tonight, you can feel free to email me your name and your age. I don't need birth date, just age. And that gives me a coordinate in which to tune into so that I can do a reading and share with you what insights come to me as a result of that. So without further ado, the gifts and limitations of the tribe. So what is the tribe? The tribe is any gathering or grouping of people. Tribe can be the tribe of your family. I am a Matthews, and so I am from the Matthews tribe or Matthews clan. I am from Ontario, so you could say I'm an Ontarian, or I'm from Canada, I'm a Canadian, or I am a North American, I'm of planet Earth. I'm also of the tribe of cyclists. I cycle. There are many ways that we divide into tribes. Perhaps you are in the tribe of New Age spirituality, which is maybe what brought you here tonight. So the way that I want to look at tribes is to understand the purpose that they serve and how in that purpose they have an inherent flaw. There's something that no matter what you do, that flaw will exist. And so it's very helpful to understand that flaw so that it doesn't become a limitation. And in fact, it becomes an opportunity for you to transcend the limitation and evolve yourself into an even greater version of who you are. So from that perspective, we are spirit embodied. Human beings are an interesting blend of pure energetic potential and dense physical matter. There's the part of us that is unlimited, unbound, that exists in pure potential. And then there's the part of us that is in the here and now, in the density of reality. And we're constantly interacting between those two different aspects of our being. And in fact, my understanding of the chakras are that's what they represent, is the interplay between those two aspects of our being, our energetic potential and our dense matter. So, and hi Sue, nice to have you here too. I'm just going to show off my little feature I've got here, which is to be able to display topics. So nice to have you, Suze. Great to see you in the live stream. Okay, so two aspects of being. When we come into the world as pure energetic potential, we don't know how to exist in this world. We're not born knowing. That is something that we evolve or grow into ourselves. And so as energetic potential, we need guides to support us and to help us to grow and evolve in the world and how to exist and be. And that really gets to the fundamental purpose or role that tribes play in the world, which is to teach us how to be in the world. Do we chew with our mouth open, mouth closed? Do we eat with a knife and fork? Do we eat with our hands? Do we say hello to someone that we don't know? Do we share our displeasure when someone does something we don't like? These are all things that we need to figure out and navigate. And so the tribe that we are born into is part of what educates us in terms of how to do those things in the world. And that's a wonderful gift that the tribe has to offer. It gives us their experience up to this point so that we have a baseline in which to exist in the world. Now, there's some grace in that because it's someone sharing their experience, but there's inherent limitations. And that is that the tribe can only give you the best of what it's gotten so far, as opposed to give you what would serve you the best. As a teacher, my favorite thing to say was not, this is what's right and this is what's wrong. It's, this is the conclusion I've made, and this is why I've made this conclusion. Now it's your turn to make your conclusion. That's my way of, as a tribal leader, as a teacher, to try to empower the people in my world or in my life as much as possible so that I'm not limiting them with, this is how you're supposed to do it. And so the tribe which seeks to guide and inform us also is limited because it can only function within the realm of that which it understands. And each of us as pure energetic potential are greater than the limitations of our tribe. And so part of this aspect of living is about discovering how to be embodied in our potential despite the limitations of the tribe. And so that's kind of the foundation of where we're going with this conversation this evening. So first off, it's helpful to know, do you have tribal beliefs? You know, I feel very fortunate in my life in that there were some things that I was tribally brought up to do that I don't know that every family was brought up to do. We were brought up to question media, to, you know, when there was an ad on TV, what's the agenda? What are they trying to get at? That was a tribal sharing in my family. Another one was to do what you love. Like, how do you know what to do in the world? It wasn't, your tribal belief might have been, you need to get an education so that you can get a good job so that you can be safe. For me, it was do what you love. Life is about doing what you love. And so these are inherent beliefs. You know, you may have the, you better stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, or money doesn't grow on trees, or a variety of different beliefs that your family has given to you. And I think it's important to recognize that these beliefs are not cruel punishments the tribe is imposing on you. Some tribal beliefs are powerful. Do what you love. I'm so grateful for that offering from my family in terms of how to create in the world. I do what I love. That's always been my compass in how to create. And so many of the tribal beliefs that are shared with you will be there to support your highest good, to empower you, to that will nourish you in the deepest way. And then other ones will be limitations, like money doesn't grow on trees. That one means that you have to work hard to make something of yourself. And while that may have been true for the people in your tribe, that may not always be true. Sometimes you'll be able to create tremendous abundance without hard backbreaking work. And so in tribal beliefs is part of the fundamental flaw of tribal beliefs, which is that they're connected to survival. The tribe's primary focus is survival. In fact, why we gathered as tribes in the first place was to survive. We are stronger as a group than we are as individuals. And that's a really important part of tribes, is to recognize we need to gather in order to accomplish great things. Nations wouldn't exist. Canadians wouldn't, we wouldn't have universal healthcare in Canada if Canadians didn't somehow band together to set that intention and to make it happen. So there is tremendous grace in tribes coming together. At the same time, there are also limitations. If we continue with the Canadian model, being polite at the expense of our ability to express what's going on for us, which politeness is a Canadian tendency, would be a limitation in the tribe. And so part of the challenge in working with the tribe is, how do you receive the wisdom in the tribe and then transcend it, and then evolve it within yourself? And part of the art in doing that is being able to separate yourself from the tribe. We do that naturally. That's part of our evolutionary process. We begin as children, and in children, the way we interact with tribal beliefs is typically compliance. How do I do what makes mommy and daddy happy, or mom happy, or dad happy? Or can I be a good girl or good boy or good child, or whatever it may be? So compliance is sort of the initial stage. And then when we get to teenagers, we start to rebel. We say, I like some of the things, but there's some stuff I don't like, and I want to break free from that. And so this recognition for the need to break free from the limitations of the tribe is inherent in our developmental stage. Now, not everyone gets out of the first stage. Some of us stay as willing servants in the world, where we're constantly trying to achieve the approval of others around us as opposed to standing up for what we want. Some of us never evolve beyond the rebel. We will continue to fight against something because we want to, because we only know how to live in opposition. To me, a mature adult is somebody who is able to take what drove you to compliance, take what drove you to rebellion, and then evolve it to a place of maturity. This is what I choose to do. This is what I feel like is the empowered choice. And now, in order to get to this adult stage, the necessary part of the journey, and it's inherent in the hero's quest, is the need to leave the tribe. In other words, in order for you to find your own voice in the world, in all likelihood, you will have to leave the tribe. Now, any of you who have left the tribe before knows the profound pain of this choice. Let's say you come from a strict religious background and you start to realize that the teachings are not working for you, or the limitations of the organization that you're a part of start to feel like it's confining your spirit, and there's a recognition, I need to do something. I need to find something else. Now, you may notice, generally when you move to leave the tribe's not like, oh, good luck, see ya, have fun, excellent choice. They're like, whoa, where are you going? Why are you leaving us? Choosing to leave the tribe is a threat to the tribe. And actually that sometimes falls into our language. Like if your parent ever say, oh, you're doing that, oh, what would your mother think? Or what would your grandparents think? Or, oh, your father would be so upset that you're doing. That's ways to try to like rally the tribe to get you to continue to stay in agreement with what the tribe is doing. And now you can do that. The tribe may be wise. You might be making a foolish choice. You may be taking an unnecessary risk. You may be, going down a dangerous path, or a path that's not going to serve your highest good. But part of life is about finding your way. And so to leave the tribe, you may upset people. The tribe may not like that. And that's a difficult part of evolving that wisdom. And it's a good question to ask yourself, are there places that I have not left my tribe for the desire to be a peacekeeper, or to maintain a cohesiveness, or to be pleasurable to the people that I'm around? Or are you still in a rebellious phase? When I started my spiritual journey, I was definitely still in a rebellious phase. I was pushing against organizations that I didn't agree with, as opposed to creating what I did believe in. And so I needed to evolve to get past this need to have something to rebel against within myself. And so when you go to move on from the tribe, you go to find your own way. That's a healthy exploration and self-esteem. If you are doing that now, if you've done that, if you're wanting to do that and struggling, here's one of the challenging aspects of making that transition. Anyone who has left the tribe will notice that it's like having the earth pulled out from under your feet, or at least it can be like having the earth pulled out from under your feet. The tribe exists first and foremost to support us in survival. It's a survival mechanism. And so when you leave the tribe and the tribe doesn't approve, the tribe may withdraw its security that it has created for you in your life. It may pull that rug out from underneath you, or it may lose that. And there's a very disconcerting feeling that comes when you lose that sense of security. And so many people, when they leave a tribe, instead of finding themselves in the deepest way, will actually go out and find a new tribe. Like, I didn't enjoy the religion I'm in, but now I'm part of the yogi world, and that's my next devotion. And I'm not saying that's wrong to do that. It's okay to go from one tribe to another tribe, as long as you recognize that every tribe has an offering and every tribe has a limitation. And so when you're taking that step to find your true self and you feel that lack of security underneath you, that's not a sign that you've made a mistake. That's a sign that you are leaving the foundation of security that the tribe has provided for you. And it takes tremendous courage to keep moving forward when you've had that foundation taken out from underneath you. And if anyone who's done that before knows just how painful or challenging that can be. And yet have faith or have hope or keep going forward, because in doing so, when you choose to leave the tribe, not as in, screw you, I don't want you to have to offer, but, oh, thank you for what you've offered me, and I feel limitations in what you can do. I want to evolve those things in myself in the way that I need to, that the tribe may not understand. And I'm doing that, A, so that I can be the fullest version of myself, but B, so that I can meet the world in a new evolved consciousness. I'm evolving that thing within myself so that I can share it with the world. That's how we advance the conversation, is we evolve things within ourselves and then we come back to share it with the tribe. And that really is the essence of evolving tribal limitation, is to be able to evolve the tribe through evolving whatever it is you're evolving in yourself. So it's being the change that you want to see in yourself and then sharing it with the world. And in fact, you may have experienced the opposite of that, which is as you find this new path that you're on, are you a proselytizer? Like you've discovered yoga and now everyone in your life knows how wonderful yoga is. Or you've discovered a sauna and now everyone in your life knows how wonderful a sauna is. So it's a way for you to not just be like, oh, I really like yoga, it's helping me. It's like, oh, this is good. I want others people to be there with me instead of just finding it in myself, so that when I know it and I have it, I can then offer it to others as a result and not be limited in that. So this is the opportunity that exists in the tribe. And this is such an important thing to do, particularly with regards to pace and speed. The tribe is an organism that cannot move as quickly as an individual. And so when consciousness is longing to evolve itself, it can evolve through the tribe. But ultimately, if you want to do it as quickly as possible, it needs to happen through individuals. I'll give you an example. We have a tremendous waste problem in this world. If you've ever watched the documentary A Plastic Ocean, it's devastating to see what we've done with plastics in our world. Now, I could wait for the tribe to evolve to help solve that problem. My government to implement policies around packaging and waste and recycling and things like that. And I hope that governments do those things. But in our household, we were like, we need to do something. And so we've gone to taking a zero waste approach in our lifestyle, where we consider everything that we purchase in the packaging that's in what we do. We haven't put our garbage out in over 2 months. We haven't put our recycling out in over 6 weeks. And that's because we as individuals chose to evolve something that was a limitation in our world. So the principle is the individual can always heal faster than the tribe. And if you want the security of the tribe in order to heal adequately, you're going to be limited. The tribe moves slowly. It's our job to move this tribe, as individuals, to move the tribe forward. And so I encourage you, if you feel pulled or called to something, not to wait for those around you to change, but for you to be that change in yourself, to evolve that thing in yourself. And that really does get at the core of what's being offered. I was a kindergarten teacher, and it's funny, as a kid, I don't know if you guys know the book Swimmy. Swimmy was one of my favorite books as a kid, and I'm not going to read it because although it is a short book, but it's the tale of Swimmy, the fish, he's with all kinds, Swimmy's a little blackfish, all kinds of little fish that are scared, and then they all get eaten by a big fish. And so Swimmy is left out in the world, and he wanders through the world on his own until he discovers the beauty of the ocean and the diversity that it offers. And then he found a way to reconnect with a new tribe, a school of fish, and find a way to exist in the world with security. So he got them to form their own fish there and whatnot. It's a beautiful story of taking the opportunity to be the change that you want to see in the world and to transcend the limit, receive the gifts of the tribe, but transcend the limitations of the tribe. And that language is used very specifically, gifts and limitations. There's gifts to the tribes, but there is inherent limitations. And so part of our job as individuals is to notice, where are we stuck in the limitations of our tribe? I wrote some questions down that I was hoping that you might ask yourself, like, where do you defer to the tribe rather than deciding for yourself? Like, do you have an idea that's perhaps unpopular, but it's something that you really want to do, but you go, oh no, I don't want to upset people, or I don't want to ruffle feathers. Is there a place like that? Notice that's a place that you may be deferring your autonomy towards the tribe. Another question to ask is, where do you go along with the group? Like, where do you hold back what's true for you in order to be accepted or go along with the group? That would be another place that you lose energy, hold back for fear of what others might say. And so, to me, a question that's worthy of asking is, what quality of presence transcends this limitation of the tribe? For me as a teenager, I got a phrase in my head that I took with me all the time. And it's not accurate in terms of my evolved understanding, but as a teenager, it was really helpful. And I got this from a famous physicist named Richard Feynman, who wrote a book called What Do You Care What Other People Think? And so every time I found myself wanting to do something that I had the concern that it would be unpopular or that I would ruffle feathers, I would say, yeah, but what do you care what other people think? I care what I think. And so I worked to move forward with that consciousness. Now I'd like to not care what other people think and deeply care what other people think, to be able to do those two things together. And so as we connect with the tribe, are you feeling limited by it? Or do you feel like an autonomous being in the world, able to create with yourself and coexist with the tribe? Or do you find you need to separate yourself from the tribe so that you can create? It's too difficult to co-create with this giant entity that has its own beliefs and needs. Or can you relate between the two? And I like the model of health in that I am able to function fully within myself, but I'm also able to function within the group. So if you have any thoughts or questions or disagreements or opinions on that, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I've got my comments up there. If I see me looking up, it's just to see if there's any comments. And if not, that's fine too, because I will move on to the reading that I have. At the very end of this live stream, I may read a poem. I've got a poem by Mary Oliver called The Journey. And to me, it conveys very clearly this challenge of finding your own path, which is to go out into the world, make your way, feel the pull of those that you're leaving, wanting to hold you back, finding your own voice so that you can do what you need to do in the world. So it's a beautiful poem, The Journey by Mary Oliver, if you know it. Okay, so if you'd like to have a reading done, I will do them live during the show. You're welcome to read me. I have my email address open here. Otherwise, I did get a few people to write in. I like when people write in advance because then I can give you a code initials so that there really is no way to know who you are. So the first one is KD. This is Katie who wrote in. Okay, let me just tune in so I can get to that. Okay, so Katie, the first thing that I really got from you was an anxious feeling. I got an image of you fidgety, twiddly fingers, eyes darting around from side to side, not being able to focus. And more importantly, not being able to settle and find relief. It's like this, it feels like you're in a high alert state rather than what would I like to do on some level? And what's important to recognize in that, first of all, you're not doing it because you don't care or you're unwilling. It feels as though your body is stuck in a pattern of alarm. And so there's something that you need to do in order to be able to soothe that and come back down. And there's a few components to that I think are worth addressing. The first one is it feels like in that alarm, not being able to settle is coming at a high emotional cost or a toll to your system. It's exhausting to be that way. And it feels to me like it is building up. And as I say that, I can feel tears from that feeling of exasperation that comes at feeling anxious in that way. How to deal with that was the question that I had. And it's an interesting one because the thing I crave, I wrote here, a need to look at or face the pain you're feeling. I don't mean to reconcile what happened, whatever it is that's caused the pain in your life. Some things that happen are irreconcilable. Sometimes the way to move on from a painful situation is not to reconcile it, but to face the way you're feeling and then to let it go. Feel and release was the phrase, not having to reconcile so much as feel and release. This feels challenging. A strong need for steadfast and reliable support. This is the one my heart really opens when I felt that one there. I feel in the anxiety a desire to hold, to offer, not tight, but to hold space more than person, to offer you some type of support so that you can release the pain that you are feeling. It feels like there's doubt. Will I be able to do so? And so I got an affirmation for you. I'm willing to trust and allow space for support. I'm willing to trust and allow space for support. Yeah, and the nervous system being aggravated. I wondered if something like a weighted blanket might be good, something where you wrap yourself like an infant gets coddled, so that when you have that sort of anxious feeling, there's this soothing, wrapping sensation around you. And I think part of the key in this is, I wrote here, since this is irreconcilable, you can heal without the mind. In other words, I would not recommend the mind as the reason so much as the release of the intensity of the emotion that you feel. As an offering or act of faith, I let it go because I choose to. So there's some will in here. Choose to release, invoke your will. Statement, I no longer am willing to be limited or controlled by my past. I choose to be in the here and the now. And it's okay to acknowledge that this has been hard. It's okay to acknowledge that this has been a challenging process. I feel that. I put here, we miss you. Like I miss you. I want you to come back. That part of you that is in a disassociated or stressed place. And that to me was part of the core, is that trauma can cause a dissociation. When a part of us disconnects, we suffer. And so it's about finding a way back to yourself. So that suffering is real, and receiving support to calm the nervous system, to release the holding, not to reconcile it, to let the mind stuff go, but to reconcile so that you can let it go for yourself. So anyhow, I hope that is helpful, KD, for the reading that I had there. The next one is a code name BC I gave to this. BC, when I tuned into you, I saw you pausing with your words. Where you may have once had a habit of just talking or sharing what's going on for you rather than just letting it out and flowing, I saw you pausing. And that felt really good to me, that you're creating space for words to arise. Finding space to allow more to arise. Yes, that's right. Less reactive. And this feels really good. There's a calm and serene quality to this. There's a stabilizing quality. It's good because you're developing a habit that is less reactive. So if you find yourself wanting to be in a place where I don't really want to say anything, I don't know what to say right now, that feels good to me. That's worth investing in on some level. I sat with it a bit longer to see if there was more, because it was a very positive thing that I got, that you're doing a really good thing with that. And I did get under that a layer of tears that is connected to the judgment towards some of the decisions you have made. It's like there are things that you've done that you're not proud of, or you feel you could have done better, or you wish you had done differently. And the challenge in those thoughts is they feel to me connected to an element of regret. And I'm very wary of regret. I agree that looking back and saying, oh, I don't like the way that I did that, or I wish I had done something different, or if I was to do that again, I would do it like this. Regret is challenging to me because it lacks compassion and understanding. It doesn't hold, oh, I see why I did that. I understand what moved me to make those choices. I have compassion towards the suffering that directed that, and I choose to let that go. So I wrote here, this doesn't feel essential to acknowledge. Focus more on what you want to do. Like, keep focusing on what you want to create, on what you want to do, on what's next for you, rather than sitting in regret. And as you focus on that, it feels like the why you did what you did will come to the surface, and you'll be able to reconcile it and make peace with it more. Work on doing what feels good and moves you, i.e. focus more on positive investments rather than dwelling on the past. Anyhow, I hope that's helpful for this person. Okay, for the next person, this is AG that wrote in, AG. Right away, the first thing I got for you, AG, was a feeling of bracing in the right side, the mid part of your rib cage. It felt as though your chin was slightly lifted, your face was neutral, and the important part is a prideful posture. It's almost like you're holding yourself, as opposed to being like fluid, loose, dynamic, easygoing, laissez-faire. You know, it's almost like there's a constriction in how you're holding yourself, which is part of where I think that bracing is the constriction. And sort of the head tilted up reminds me of keeping your head above water, or more keeping yourself above the things that you find challenging. Now, to me, what's interesting about this keeping above is while it keeps things calm in your life, which is a need you're trying to meet. I'm trying to get things to be calm, settled, not out of control. It feels like it comes at a cost of vitality. You'll notice when I was describing being easygoing and whatnot, I had this dynamic quality to myself. And so as you're holding yourself in this way, there's a looseness about you, a juiciness, a fullness, a fun, a playfulness that feels challenged to me. And the phrase that I got for you is it feels like you're trying to get out of something as opposed to get into something. You're like, no, I don't want to go there. I'm going to keep working on these things. And while you're poised, it doesn't feel like you're getting into it and letting yourself be. And when I wrote that, I've said, this is not to say that you aren't doing work. It's really clear when I did your reading, you're doing work. You're not phoning life in. You're choosing, how do I grow? How do I evolve? How do I do these things? But it feels like there's some stickier places, places you're not as fond of or you don't like, that you're sort of avoiding. In a harsh way of describing that, we could call that bypassing, but I would call that more afraid to address some of the things that have really challenged you. I put here, this is a defense mechanism that has existed. So please honor it and see if you can find a way to be vulnerable in a powerful way. Same for you, a need to feel supported in that. It's scary to really get down on your knees and acknowledge the hardest things, not just some of the things, but the hardest things that are there. And so having support around that can be really helpful. Yeah, so part of it here, I put strength and immunity and boundaries, not from a prideful place. Tell it like it is. It's like we can have greater immunity because we put up a wall around us so nobody can get in. That's like the defense mechanism of immunity. But then we can also have it by being who we are, telling it like it is. Now, I don't agree with that. I do agree with that. So letting the more dynamic part of ourselves be a creative force in our life. Trying to be open rather than... try to be open rather than, or you're trying to be open rather than healing why openness feels hard. A need for unconditional love. Feels like it's affecting your stomach a bit as well too. There's a sense of stability around that. There's a lot there, but yeah, the key thing to me is to see if you can drop the prideful posture to soften and open in some way. Okay, so the last one, and this one came via email right before the start of my readings this evening. I gave this person the initials LO. So LO, right away I got a very pleasant look on your face. And then right away I got, after that, I got a feeling of energy being caught up in your throat. And what's interesting in the energy being caught up in your throat is it feels like there's a duality in what's going on for you. It feels like on one level, you are very aware of what is going on, things that you don't agree with or you're displeased with or you think are being done in a way that's causing harm or is not with integrity. And so on one level, you're aware of what's going on, but it feels like you're doubting your words or you're doubting your ability to use your words, or you're doubting your power to see and to express in relationship to what you see going on. So there's an energy loss that's coming between perception and action based on the perception. This is creating pent-up energy in your body, particularly in the jaw. It's like I see this being pent up or held up in you because there's all this stuff going on for you, and rather than having a mechanism for it to flow, oh, this is whatever. Oh, and it can be positive too. Oh, that's really wonderful what you're doing. And then sharing it there. Imagine you see all these wonderful things and you don't share them with anybody in the world and you just keep it all to yourself. That would create pent up energy as well too. But there's stuff around dissatisfaction that feels pent up. And what's interesting is it feels to me like there's a resentfulness towards the situations you're witnessing, but ultimately the resentfulness feels as though it is towards yourself. Now that may be a subconscious awareness. Like you might experience this in like, oh, these things and all these things, as opposed to, oh, wow, I'm really not doing what I'm capable of doing in response to what's going on. And so if that's the case for you, It feels important to address. A habit of playing small or downplaying your voice, a need to take action, and perhaps more importantly, to find your power. The other way I described pent-up energy when I was doing your reading, what it felt like was unutilized potential. It's like you're leaving cards on the table here in your life, unutilized potential. And then at the end, I got a sinking feeling. It was like, ugh. And what that felt like to me is that there feels like there is there's an urgency. Urgency is too strong a word. Now is the time to take action. It's like you're at this decision point of, I can choose to speak up, find my voice, work towards the things that I want, or I can shrink down and hold it inside. And so it could go either way. And the phrase that I wrote was, come alive, do the daring thing. I got an image of someone living an eat, pray, eat, pray, love version of life, where I'm doing the thing, and you are at an age that is perfect to do that, to find yourself, to find your voice, to find the courage, and to have compassion for where that has been difficult for you to do up until this point. So those are the 4 readings that I have. It looks as though no one else has written in as we keep going through the live stream tonight. So I'll take a couple more minutes. I got a message here from NC. Yes, I love Mary Oliver. She is wonderful. And so I will likely then go on to read the poem and finish off with that. So thank you for tuning in. I'll be offering these every week. I don't have a topic yet for next week. If there is a topic that you're interested in exploring, please feel free to email me, cmintuitivereading@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I love engaging in this conversation of how to skillfully meet life. And so if you tuned in tonight, thanks so much for your attention. The Journey by Mary Oliver. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the old tug at your ankle, mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundation, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voice behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. And so that to me speaks to the quintessential journey in the tribe. It wants to hold you there, mend my life, stay here, but I have to save myself first. From that place, we can come back and be in the world. Anyhow, thank you so much for your presence and attention tonight, and I hope this has been valuable. All the best.